We are getting more data analytics when it comes to the Acolyte, and there are currently two main viewpoints on the show. You have one viewpoint talking about how this is a Star Wars success story because of the engagement that the show is getting, and on the other hand, you are seeing analytics talking about how the show's viewership numbers are plummeting, which is just crazy to me because when this show was first coming out, we were seeing all of these reviews talking about how this is going to be the most interesting Star Wars, this and that, how this is the best Star Wars series since Andor. Yes, this show is being compared to Andor. Andor possibly being one of the best things that Disney has created when it comes to this IP since they've owned it. And I guess that this is better than Andor because on Rotten Tomatoes, it is currently sitting at a 14% audience score. Now, there's nothing wrong in liking this show, but just because you like it so much doesn't mean that it is a success. It may be a success in your eye, but it is not the success in other people's eyes. But anyways, when we get to this first article, exclusive data suggests the Acolyte is a Star Wars success story despite the backlash. Exclusive third-party data reveals the Acolyte is a true success story for Star Wars after all. The streaming boom has made it very difficult to fully understand how different TV shows are performing, and especially so when they are controversial. The Acolyte has been subject of a review bombing campaign, meaning many traditional indicators are pretty much worthless. Although the Disney Plus TV show is known to have had lower viewership than Ahsoka in its first week, other stats seem almost designed to confuse rather than shine a light on the situation. And you can't forget that the Ahsoka series was at the low end when it came to viewership numbers, and somehow, in some way, the Acolyte was able to achieve and win a trophy and outbidding that place and becoming the lowest viewership rated Star Wars show to ever exist. It is just absolutely crazy to me, and you can see right here within this graph the Acolyte is up there when it comes to the streaming and engagement index. And I wonder why. Why do you think when it comes to the engagement index, this show is so high? Maybe because it is so controversial because of the show absolutely retconning everything that George Lucas created with the Force, having it called the thread in the show that is apparently being wielded by witches and the ability to create life. It is just absolutely crazy to me. Maybe that is why this engagement is so high. Maybe it is that the main actress in the show doesn't like white people. Maybe there's some more other factors to it, such as the terrible acting, such as the $180 million budget that the show has, and yet the quality is absolutely terrible. So this is one thing that they're saying that it is a success story. Meanwhile, we go to that Park Place. The Acolyte viewership declines for a second week in a row, nearly 60% decline from Ahsoka. Viewership for the Acolyte has declined for a second week in a row, according to data shared by analytics from Luminate. And when it comes to Luminate, this is another third party such as Nielsen. Now, yet again, I don't know if this is as trustworthy as Nielsen numbers are, but this is what we're getting, and I'm just going to be showing you guys it. As reported by Variety, viewership for the Acolyte declined to 232.2 million minutes watched for the week the show's fifth episode debuted. That's a decline of 11% from the previous week, which had a total of 262 minutes watched. And what is crazy to me is that many people are saying that the fifth episode of The Acolyte is the best episode of the series so far. And yet you're starting to see that people are still not checking in into the show, but are checking out of it. It just shows you how much damage Disney as well as Lucasfilm have done to this whole franchise, because little to no one cares about this franchise and just wants to see it gone, or at least handled a lot better with individuals that care about the IP, that care about the lore that George Lucas created. But as we continue on, of note, the runtime for both the fourth and fifth episodes are nearly identical. The fourth episode has a runtime of 34:02, while the fifth episode's runtime is 34:05. And within the data that was given, you can see that it is only for streaming originals. It is not all streaming. So you have to keep that in mind. I don't know even if this show would have made it to this top 10 placement if it was all streaming. But you can see the Acolyte is at the bottom too, coming in at ninth place. And this is Star Wars we're talking about, people. This is a brand that should have been hitting it out of the park. Should be getting record time viewership numbers, should be getting crazy amount of watch time, hype for new seasons, hype for new types of movies or shows. but that is just not the case anymore. And over here, we can see that the estimated minutes watched is currently sitting at 232.2 minutes, where previous estimate minutes watched were 262 million minutes watched. And you can see that that is 11% decrease. And this is episode 5 we're talking about, you have to keep in mind. But it just shows you that the people that were potentially interested in this show are checking out of it. And we know a lot of Star Wars fans are already checked out when it comes to this IP because of Disney. As we continue on, the show hit its peak viewership with the release of its third episode, which introduced lesbian space witches as well as a replacement for the Force called Thread. Viewership for the week third episode debuted topped 380.5 million minutes watched. And here are some more data points showing you that once again the Acolyte is in the 9th position, currently sitting at 210 minutes for this data point. Of note, viewership fluctuation also reflects the total number of reviews for individual episodes on IMDb. The first episode received over 20,000 reviews, while the second received over 18,000. The third episode received over 20,000. However, the fourth episode only received 11,000 reviews. The fifth episode only has 8,400 reviews. And I'm wondering how many people, by the time this show is finished, will be checked out of it. I'm wondering how the data is going to show it when it comes to the viewership decline, because this is absolutely abysmal. It is abysmal that Star Wars continues to outdone itself when it comes to lowering its quality, its viewership numbers. It is just absolutely crazy because Ahsoka here, which aired during the summer of 2023, the show's 2-episode premiere brought in 829 million minutes as reported by Nielsen, compared to the Acolyte's 210 million as reported by Illuminate. And you have to keep in mind that this show already has 5 episodes out and released. These numbers should be a lot higher, but it just shows you that people are absolutely done with this IP. People are absolutely sick of Disney Star Wars, and I'm sick of Disney Star Wars in the way they hire people for these brands that don't actually care about the brand itself, but want to inject their own narratives, their own agendas into it. And on top of that, what was going through Disney's head when they want to hire a former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein, aka Leslie Headland? What was going on through their head? I have no damn clue. But it just shows you that this whole brand is dead. Even though it is considered in the top 10 when it comes to streaming originals, when it comes to the watch time, this show should have a lot higher viewership numbers, a lot higher watch time minutes, but that is just not the case anymore. Because then again, Star Wars is absolutely done with the vast majority of the population. And with all that in mind, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.